Assalamu alaikum. In this video, I'm going to cover what we find in ancient rabbinic literature, the suggestion that Adam somehow resembled God, and so it seems that the ancient rabbis were looking at the idea that God created Adam in his image a lot more literally than many Jews would today. So we're going to look at one midrash, and then we'll look at a couple narrations in the Talmud. So here's the midrash. The reference is at the top. When the Holy One of Blessing created the first Adam, the ministering angels erred and wanted to say the Kedoshah before him. What is Kedoshah? Kedoshah is also the name of a prayer in Judaism which describes God's holiness. So it's a prayer for His holiness, to express His holiness. A parable. A king and his governor were in a chariot, and the people of the realm wanted to say Domin or Domain to the king, but didn't know which was the king. So what did the king do? He shoved the governor and ejected him from the chariot, and everyone knew that one was the governor. So too, when the Holy One of Blessing created the first Adam, the ministering angels erred and wanted to say the Kedoshah before him. What did the Holy One of Blessing do? He caused a slumber to fall upon him, so everyone knew that one was the Adam, as it is written, with Ra from the Adam, who has breath in his nostrils, or who has breath in his nostrils, for how little is he to be esteemed, Isaiah 2:22. So here the angels are confusing Adam and God. They mistake Adam for God to the point where they want to say the prayer which is supposed to glorify God to Adam, seemingly because they confused Adam for God. So there seems to be an indication that they thought that Adam resembled God, and so when it says Adam was created in the image of God, it seems they were looking at this a lot more literally to believe that Adam was like God in resemblance. Okay, so now let's go here in the Talmud. Right, okay, so references at the top, and so you'll see they're discussing many different people who they believe were born already circumcised. So here they believe Job emerged already circumcised. They believe here that Jacob emerged already circumcised. Joseph emerged already circumcised. Moses also emerged already circumcised. And then right in the middle here is what we want to look at. They say Adam also emerged already circumcised, as it says in Genesis 1:24, and God created the person in His image. Seth also emerged already circumcised, as it says in Genesis 5:2. He, meaning Adam, had a child in his likeness and image. So Adam was already circumcised, and Seth, his son, was created in the image of Adam. And so, because Seth was created in the image of Adam, and Adam was already circumcised, therefore Seth was circumcised already as well. So if you take that same logic actually and you apply it to God, the reason that Adam is already circumcised is because he was created in the image of God. And so presumably that means that God himself is circumcised. Right? Because how do we know Seth was circumcised? Because Adam was circumcised and Seth was made in the image of Adam. So similarly, the way we know that Adam is circumcised is because he was created in the image of God. And that would suggest again that that God himself was circumcised. And we say to something like that, Subhanallah, perfect as Allah, far above these sorts of descriptions and speaking about him without any knowledge. So I've written this out for you because it can be a little bit confusing. So we know Seth, who again is the son of Adam, Seth is circumcised. We know he's circumcised when he emerges from the womb, because he, meaning Seth, was created in the image of Adam, who was circumcised. Right? So Seth is circumcised because he was created in the image of Adam, who was already circumcised. So similarly, that same logic, remember it's the same justification, the fact that both were made in the image, right? So Adam being created in the image of God, and Seth being created in the image of Adam. So it's the same sort of logic we're dealing with here. So just like Seth is circumcised because he was created in the image of Adam who was circumcised, similarly Adam was circumcised, and we know this because he was created in the image of God who was, the implication would be, circumcised himself. And that again would also show clearly that they were looking at the idea that God created Adam in his image to mean that Adam somehow resembled God. right? Otherwise, this justification that we know that Adam was circumcised because he's created in the image of God, that doesn't even make any sense, right? I've written it in different words here, so if you don't understand, you can check this out. Because Seth was created in the image of Adam, who was already circumcised, therefore Seth too is circumcised. Similarly, because Adam was created in the image of God, and the implication would be who was already circumcised, Adam too is circumcised. So you see, it's the same logic here. We just have to use the logic that we use to find out, okay, why are they saying Seth is circumcised? Because he's created in the image of Adam, and apply that to Adam and God. Okay, so that was the second indication that they believed that Adam somehow resembled God. Let's go to this place in the Talmud, right here. Ooh, okay, reference is at the top. I heard in a lecture of Rabbi Yehoshua that there is a different reason why one may not fashion a figure of a human face. So why can't you make a figure of a human face, a human face? The verse states, "You shall not make me," in Exodus 20:20. But this can be read, "You shall not make me," or sorry, "You shall not make with me." Okay, so let me read that again because I messed up the English. Okay, so I heard in a lecture of Rabbi Yehoshua that there is a different reason why one may not fashion a figure of a human face. The verse states, "You shall not make with me," in Exodus 20:20, but this can be read as, "You shall not make me." So the verse where it says, "You shall not make with me an image," can be read as, "You shall not make with," or "You shall not make me an image." So do not create an image of me, right? So the verse apparently doesn't just mean don't make an idol with me, another god, but also don't make me, right? Don't make an image of me, meaning don't make an image of God. Okay? So from this they're deriving that one may not fashion a figure of a human face. Well, how would the fact that God said, apparently, that you shall not make an image of me mean that therefore you cannot make an image of a human face? Obviously, they were thinking that that Adam somehow and man somehow resembled God, and that is the meaning of God created Adam in his image. As it says here, since the human being was created in the image of God, right? So since the human being was created in the image of God, therefore, when it says, "You shall not make me an image of me," therefore, we cannot even make images of human beings, right? It is since the human being was created in the image of God, it is prohibited to fashion an image of a human being, but fashioning figures of other attendants of God is permitted. Right? So because we're not allowed to create images of God, and man was made in the image of God, therefore you can also not make images of man. That is the analogy here, and that would suggest to us they were looking at this a lot more literally, and they were thinking that Adam and man somehow resembled God. So I'm going to summarize the examples, then I'll give my comments. So the first example was the angels get God and Adam confused. They think Adam is God, and they want to say Kadoshah before him. That would imply resemblance. This is the Midrash with the reference here. Second one here, they were mentioning how we know Seth is circumcised because he's created in the image of Adam, who was already circumcised. And we know Adam is circumcised because he was created in the image of God, who would, from that logic, be himself circumcised. In fact, even the justification here presumes some sort of likeness between God and Adam. Otherwise, the verse they use to support this idea that Adam was emerged circumcised doesn't make any sense. Right? The only logical way for you to look at that is if you thought there was some resemblance between God and Adam. Finally, we looked at here the mention that you shall not make me, right? You shall not make an image of me. This is used as evidence for the fact that you can also not make images of man. And the reason given is because man was created in the image of God. And so that would imply resemblance, right? Even the fact that they use this idea, this justification that you shall not make an image of me as justification that you cannot make images of man implies that they thought there was some sort of resemblance. So what does Allah say about all this? فاطر السماوات والأرض جعل لكم من أنفسكم أزواجا ومن الأنعام أزواجا يزرعكم فيه ليس كمثله شيء وهو السميع البصير. Originator. I don't know why it says creator here, but originator of the heavens and the earth. He has made for you from yourselves mates, and among the cattle mates. He multiplies you thereby. There is nothing like unto him, and he is the hearing and the seeing. The hearing, the seeing. So they're saying that Adam somehow resembles God. We say there is nothing like unto God. Nothing resembles him. And yes, actually in Islam we do believe that Adam was created in the image of God. But the meaning of that is not that he somehow resembles God, but the meaning is, okay, so Adam saw, he heard these types of attributes, and God also has hearing and sight and these types of things. But there's a difference here. The difference is, as even in this ayah, we have لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٌ وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْبَصِيرُ. There is nothing like unto him, and he is the hearing, the seeing. So when we say there is nothing like God, that doesn't mean, because what some philosophers and some extreme people do is, well, because there's nothing like God, therefore that means God cannot see, God cannot hear, he's blind, he's deaf, all these things, he's mute, etc., etc. Because if we say that somehow he hears, he sees, while we hear as well, so that would mean God is like us. No, that's not how it works. When we say God hears, and when we say God sees, and we say God has life, etc., that doesn't mean he's like humans. Because his life, his hearing, his seeing is not like our hearing, our seeing, our life, right? So yes, he has these positive attributes of hearing and seeing and life, etc., etc., but at the same time they're unique to him. His hearing cannot be compared to our hearing. His hearing is very different. He hears everything all the time perfectly, etc. We cannot hear like that. It's a very different type of hearing. His seeing is very different. Right, his life is perfect. He doesn't die. He has a different sort of life than we do. So yes, he has these attributes, but at the same time, there's nothing like him. There's nothing that resembles him. And so we believe that when Adam is created in the image of God, the meaning is like God has hearing and seeing and this and that. Adam had these attributes as well. But the difference is that the attributes of God are unique to him in terms of they're not, his hearing and seeing, etc., is not like our hearing and seeing, etc. So even though Adam had some of the similar attributes, like hearing and seeing in life, that doesn't mean that those attributes that Adam had were like the same attributes that God had. Rather, the difference between God's hearing and seeing and this and that, and the hearing and seeing of Adam was quite different, right? So the Islamic view is not that somehow that Adam resembled God. Rather, this is the better view, and this is the view I would call you to, that لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٌ وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْبَصِيرُ. There is nothing like unto him, and he is the hearing, the seeing, right? And so yes, there's nothing like him, but at the same time, he does have those attributes, because again, there are some people who say, no, he has no attributes, because if we say he has any attribute, that means he's like a human being. No, that's a incorrect way of looking at it. And of course, all this idea that Adam is created in the image of God, it also bleeds into this sort of problem that we see over and over again in ancient rabbinic literature, where God is sort of God is made to resemble man in a way. So in the Tanakh, we find God resting and refreshing and regretting. Talmudic literature, he's crying and studying Torah and wearing, these religious symbols on his head, like religious Jews do. God playing and writing a cherub and listening to songs, and I think I mentioned crying and all this stuff. And getting in a midrash, you have him getting confused and all these things. So, taking God and sort of turning him into a man, ascribing blasphemies to him and imperfections, and so this would be another example of that, sort of saying that Adam and mankind, people somehow resemble God. So that would be a big problem in Judaism. Whereas in Islam, we believe, no, God is far above these types of things. But at the same time, we don't say, again, this philosophical position that, oh, there's nothing like, oh, God doesn't even have life. We can't even say that. We can't even say he has hearing and seeing. All this is a big metaphor and this and that. No. He does see, he does hear, etc. He's not dumb and deaf and mute. No. But his attributes, these attributes of his are not comparable to our attributes. Like his life is not like our life, etc.